A sequel can be a great addition to any video game franchise, but it is often something that is done incorrectly. A sequel should always be a step up from its predecessor. It should fix issues that the previous had, the storyline should be bigger, and the stakes higher. The gameplay should be refined and polished. Most importantly, a sequel should always have new mechanics and systems. What it shouldn't be is nothing but exactly what the original had to offer. Alien Shooter 2 Reloaded is an action game developed and published by Russian developer Sigma Team and is the sequel to the original Alien Shooter. Reloaded is a revised version of Alien Shooter 2 Vengeance. Reloaded has had the skill system simplified in comparison to Vengeance to make the gameplay more like the original. In addition to that, there have been 2 new levels introduced and a new survival mode called Gunstand. Alien Shooter 2 Reloaded released in 2008. It later released on Steam March 14, 2009 and GOG.com January 13, 2011. The story to Alien Shooter 2 isn't that different from the original, but it is more detailed. The Magma Corporation opened a portal to another dimension, revealing monstrous beings. Instead of doing the smart thing and stopping with their dimensional experiment, they attempted to control the creatures. They lost control, resulting in everyone within the facility being killed, and it being overrun by the monstrosities. A security force is sent in to deal with the situation, led by a General Baker. Baker calls you in, offering a hefty reward in exchange for your help and keeping your mouth shut about the whole ordeal. You arrive at the facility to find it in ruin and must battle your way in to reach General Baker and his squad. As you follow Baker's orders, you begin to realise that there is more to this infestation than meets the eye. The aliens are organised. They have a leader, but who? Or what is it? While a more in-depth storyline is certainly appreciated in Alien Shooter 2, it doesn't do enough to separate it from the original. Essentially it is exactly the same, it is just more fleshed out. Frankly, it is still kill everything and stop the invasion. It does have 2 different endings, but they are about as basic and uninteresting as endings get. With that said, the storyline with Sigma Team is always secondary, while over-the-top mindless action is their primary focus. At least with the addition of a more detailed story, you have characters that are voice acted. Terrible voice acting, mind you, but nevertheless it adds to the world, making it feel a bit more realistic and alive. At least you have a human telling you what needs to be done as opposed to it just being a text box at the start of each level like in the original. The story isn't anything special, but it does the job of progressing the game in an understandable, continuous and logical way. If you're looking for a game with a deep story to it, Alien Shooter 2 is not what you're looking for. Alien Shooter 2 really does build itself up from the original and lands in a nice array of new features. First up is the new engine that it is developed on. The new engine is a good few steps forward from that of the original. The graphics are far better and more realistic, with the game adding in lighting effects along with fog, rain and water. Is a huge technological leap from the dated graphics of the original. The sound effects have also been completely overhauled, making them far more realistic, including the enemies and guns. You will not find any squeaky alien death sounds in Alien Shooter 2. There is also the addition of an experience and level up system, where you gain experience from completing missions and killing enemies. The level up system adds a nice layer of depth to the game, allowing for character development and different character types. When you level up, you gain skill points that you can distribute into the stats of your choice. At the start of the game you get to choose a perk that gives you a special ability. While most of the perks would be pretty much useless, a small number of them are handy to have, such as Hypnosis, Quick Learner and Economist. Another new addition to the sequel is vehicles. Throughout the game there are 2 types of vehicles that you can use, a modified jeep with a turret and a tank and its destructive cannon. Reloaded offered one more vehicle, a police car in one of its new levels. While it is more than capable of mowing down aliens, its lack of a weapon leaves it underwhelming. There's a huge advancement in the arsenal of weapons. While the first game only had 9 weapons in total, Alien Shooter 2 contains over 50. The arsenal includes pistols, shotguns, SMGs, assault rifles, heavy machine guns, rocket launchers, energy weapons, and much more. All the weapons are well balanced, none being overpowered or underpowered. It is a case of more firepower for even more enemies. A few new enemies are introduced, along with all the old ones being completely redesigned to fit in with the new graphics. All with new glorious death animations, along with extra gruesome critical hit animations. Killing hordes of aliens has never been so brutal. For the more adventurous players looking for the ultimate challenge, an additional difficulty was added for the sequel, Impossible. The new difficulty really adds a whole new level of challenge, but it is far more balanced than that found in the Alien Shooter expansions. While challenging, it is possible with the right character setup. All the new features and mechanics that the sequel added are more than welcomed, polished and balanced. After 4 years waiting for a sequel, it needed to be bigger and better in every possible way, and Sigma Team delivered. Alien Shooter is a huge step forward, and Sigma Team didn't forget what it was that the fans loved about the original. While having a bunch of new features and mechanics is great, what good would they be if the game's core gameplay was not the same? Despite everything new, Sigma Team was able to keep the gameplay pretty much the same. Lots of guns and lots of aliens to use them on. In the reloaded version of the game, there's a total of 17 levels to complete. Each level has an objective to complete to progress to the next, and some have optional objectives also. The optional objective rewards a player with additional experience and an item, weapon or implant, making them worthwhile completing. Just like in the previous game, the levels have secrets to be found. Thanks to the new engine, the developers were able to be more creative with the secrets this time around. While some can still be found through destroying cracked walls, most of the secrets are a lot better hidden than that. Some require a specific task to be complete before being available to enter, while others are hidden in hard to find places. Some even require you to find hidden switches to access them, and you often find secrets hidden within other secrets. They are a nice improvement and give secret hunters and completionists a run for their money. As for the general gameplay, it's still complete over the top mindless action. The main idea of the game is to slaughter tons of aliens that come at you in large groups. While starting off easy, the groups become bigger and contain tougher aliens with each new level. A level can contain anything between 500 and nearly 2,000 enemies. At the beginning of most levels, you can access the shop through a computer. Here you can buy new items, weapons, armour, implants and ammunition, along with selling old or obsolete equipment and repairing armour. As the game progresses, new equipment becomes available in the shop. Money is obtained through destroying objects, finding secrets and completing levels. Overall, the gameplay to Alien Shooter 2 is as much fun, if not more, than the original. The redesign and additions to the gameplay in the shop are far more polished and refined than that of its predecessor. While there is more variation in the gameplay with the addition of vehicles and changing environments, it is still repetitive. If you enjoyed the original, you're going to absolutely love this. If you found the repetition of the first Alien Shooter to be too much for you, your opinion on the sequel will be no different. Alien Shooter 2 Reloaded contains a total of 3 survival modes: Campaign, Stand Firm and Gun Stand. The latter was an addition of the reloaded version. First up is Campaign. This mode takes place over a series of 5 levels where the sole objective is to survive each one. As you kill enemies, you gain experience and level up. With each level up, you get to choose a new weapon and gain 3 skill points to distribute how you see fit. Enemies have a chance of dropping ammunition, health pickups, armour and various power-ups, some unique to this mode. Those power-ups include reinforcements, where an NPC ally arrives to help you kill things, or at least until they die a horrible death. Next is the nuke, which does exactly as you would expect it to do: blow everything up within its blast radius except you. Hypnosis is a power that is helpful, especially in later levels, as it causes all enemies in its radius to ally with you, killing others. The Blizzard power-up freezes all enemies in range, allowing you to blast them freely into shards of ice. Finally is the vehicle power-up that spawns in a vehicle for you to mow down and blast enemies with. While the campaign mode is a lot of fun, it can be more down to luck than skill as to whether you win or not. What power-ups and drops you get from enemies can make a big difference between facing impossible odds and having a fighting chance. It can sometimes lead to some frustration. Stand Firm is a redesign of the original game's survival mode. Essentially, you just have to last as long as you can while killing as many enemies as possible. At the end of each wave, a boss will appear. When defeated, it will drop a new, more powerful weapon, there being 5 in total. As usual, enemies will drop various equipment and power-ups to help you even the odds, but your death is inevitable. The final survival mode is Gun Stand, which has a more unique and fun gameplay. You control a turret that sits in the middle of a map. Enemies will begin pouring in from 4 different directions, wave after wave. Upon completing a wave, a nuke is set off, killing all remaining enemies. Before the next wave starts, you get to choose the turret's upgrades that come in 4 different forms: upgrading the turret itself, adding rocket launchers to it, calling reinforcements, or repairing and upgrading the walls. As you progress through the waves, the enemies become more plentiful and stronger. It is quite tactical as to what order of upgrades work, as some will work better than others. While it is the more tactical of the survival modes, it is great fun and not luck based like the campaign. While some are not perfect, all the survival modes have fun to be found. Yes, campaign and standalone can be reliant on luck as to how long you survive, but in a sense that is part of the fun. It also makes Gunstan's tactical approach ever more welcome. I recommend that you have plenty of hard drive space if you are going to play survival modes. In order for the game to generate so many enemies on the screen while keeping high frame rates, it must create temporary files on your hard drive. Without the hard drive space, the game simply crashes. Alien Shooter 2 Reloaded is a great addition to the series. Not only does it improve everything that made the original good, but expands on it. The over-the-top action is all brought together with a brand new adrenaline-filled soundtrack that is simply great. The game does have a few bugs that causes very occasional problems, such as events not triggering and vehicles getting stuck on the terrain. Also, the VSync can cause stuttering with more modern graphic cards and requires turning it off in your graphical settings to fix. Aside from those, however, Alien Shooter 2 Reloaded is everything you could ask for in a sequel. Yes, it is still repetitive, just like the original, and the story is pretty much the same, but it's a game you solely play for the action over anything else. If you like Alien Shooter and this form of game, you will love this. If you don't, I would advise giving it a miss. Just like with the original game, a zombie spin-off was created, called Zombie Shooter 2, that released in 2008. While it is essentially Alien Shooter 2 with zombies, it is by far an inferior game. Its rushed development is shown with issues of game balance, particularly in higher difficulties, bugs, glitches, copy and pasted levels, uninspired level design, and reusing the Alien Shooter 2 soundtrack. While still fun in easy to normal difficulties, it is far from being a good game, or one I could recommend. A continuation from Alien Shooter 2 was developed and released in 2010, called Alien Shooter 2 Conscription. Essentially, it is an expansion consisting of not much more than Alien Shooter 2. While it is still good old-fashioned Alien Shooter fun that I recommend, its price tag may be higher than it's worth. Despite there being teaser images released several years ago by Sigma Team for an Alien Shooter 3, there is yet to be any further announcement in relation to it. Since Conscription, Sigma Team have only released one further PC title, that being Alien Hallway in 2011. As of that title's release, they have solely been focusing their games to the mobile market, mostly porting titles like Alien Shooter to it. As to whether we will get the third installment of the Alien Shooter franchise is currently unknown, and not looking likely to happen anytime in the near future. Despite the fact that the fans are crying out for it, as seen in the comments of the Alien Shooter Tower Defense game trailer, it seems their request goes unheard, at least for now. Hopefully Sigma Team will once again begin developing for the audience that made them their name all those years ago. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, take care and have fun.